Alright, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai. All praise unto Yahweh, Shemi Shai, Wahara Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles, a great millstone. Honestly, brothers, that be pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. So, back out here again for the grace and mercy of Yahweh, Shemi Shai. Okay, giving all praise unto Yahweh, Shemi Shai. Okay, to prophesy the downfall of this kingdom. Okay, to get into the scriptures. Okay, to tell you what's going to happen within the future. Okay, regarding your kingdom, okay, which is this world, okay, a place ruled by America, which we know through the scriptures is Babylon, okay, of which from aforetime was told to be destroyed by way of nuclear fire, and that's what we're gonna see within the scriptures. Okay, you're gonna see that all of the stuff that's happening right now, okay, that's all according to prophecy. You got a lot of people out here that believe, okay, that prophecy, okay, the scriptures is done away with, or the scriptures is out and flowing. Okay, the scriptures talk about how pretty much, okay, things was gonna be said before it was gonna be done. That's what you know as prophecy, and that's what's playing out here. Okay, you got a whole bunch of stuff, okay, regarding so-called geopolitics. I don't even like that word. Okay, but pretty much you got stuff that's happening, okay, between countries, and that's all in accordance to prophecies. The tensions that you got between America and Iran, okay, and Russia, that all goes back onto biblical prophecy, okay? Excuse me. Okay, that all goes back onto biblical prophecy, and as a result, okay, you're gonna have World War III play out, and when World War III plays out, okay, a lot of people is gonna be put to death because the Most High has got a heavy judgment, okay, that's gonna come upon this place. When you go into the scriptures, you find out that the Most High has got a chosen group of people. That's the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. Okay? Now, when you see that these Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans have been put in the lowest state and conditions of living, okay, you find out that there was going to be a particular judgment that's going to come about on the people that put them in that particular predicament. Now, we know through the scriptures, okay, through the prophecies regarding the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites, that they was going to be put in that particular predicament because they went off on the law, statutes, commandments of the Yahweh, Shemi Shai. Okay, we also know that the instrument that was used, okay, to put them in that particular predicament was going to be destroyed. Okay, that's you Edomites, which are the so-called white people, you Elamites, which are so-called Indians, because the Elamites had us in slavery for a particular point in time, man. Okay, they had us as vassals, okay, so they're going to get a particular judgment for that. Okay, the Ishmaelites were partakers of the so-called transatlantic slave trade, okay, which is the Arabs that you got out there within the world calling themselves ISIS and whatever right now, you know, the House of Swords or whatever, okay, they're going to get a particular judgment for what they done onto the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, how they profited and how they got their money up, okay, from selling Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. Okay, really the Negroes, because you had it to where you had Jake out there, they was living in Europe, they called themselves the Moors, okay, you had the so-called Jews, okay, which were calling themselves Khazarian. That was the Khazarian Empire, which was split between the Moors and the Arab Empire. Okay, and then once you had it to where the Moors, okay, their power dwindled. The new powers that was on the scene, okay, which was the so-called Jews and the so-called Arabs, sold those Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans into captivity, man. Okay, that's why you had this whole thing with the North Atlantic slave trade, where you have both parties, the so-called Jews, okay, profiteering of the selling of the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. But see, the scriptures speak about all of these things, and as a result, there was going to be a particular judgment for it. Let's go to the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter. Okay, Revelations 13. Okay, the 9th chapter. Revelation is the 13th chapter and the 9th verse. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So you had it to where the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans were led into that hardcore slavery, okay, where you had Jake being lynched on trees. You got it to where niggas are out here making, you know, records and dissing each other. But 200 years ago, 300 years ago, you walk around in these so-called neighborhoods that you go out here, you had it to where you had Jake, okay, which was the Negroes, okay, you had it to where the Hispanics, but mainly the Negroes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, okay, which you know as the Haitians, which is Levi, which you know as the Negroes, which is the North American black man, okay, and the Benjamites, which are the brothers out there within the West Indies. You had those guys getting lynched, okay, from trees. You had them getting burnt. That's where you have the word barbecue come from, okay? Now you got them, they're making records and making songs and all of that. Everybody's forgotten about the hardships Everybody's forgotten about the hard times. But see, the scripture speaks about how when things become a gift destroyeth the heart. And it's the so-called white man's giving you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans a gift. He gave you the gift, or really the deceptive gift of freedom, because you really aren't free. Now you're bound by contracts. Now you're bound by debt. Okay, when you go into the scriptures, when you go into the understanding of how wealth is managed and used, you find out if a particular person is in debt, okay, onto another person, you find out that particular person that's in debt is a slave unto the person that he's paying that debt to, man. Okay, so you go into where all the people upon the face of the earth, they're indebted to the so-called elite banking families. Well, guess what? The whole entirety of the whole planet is underneath the rulership, okay, of the elite banking families. And they'll put their own people into slavery. You go into where you got your average Edomite out here, okay, gets a mortgage, okay, for whatever, however much money, they get a car, and they never pay that money off. Okay, for the most part, everybody's up to their eyeballs in debt, paying it off onto the elite banking families, because everybody's in servitude underneath them. Okay, so that's the new modern day slavery. But you had an old time, okay, version of slavery. And what was happening during that time? You had it to where you had the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans getting lynched, okay, getting their bellies, the pregnant women, their bellies were getting cut open. You had it to where the young little kids, they were getting fed to alligators so that they can have an alligator bait. Okay. And you think the Messiah has forgotten all of these things. The scriptures talk about within the book of 2nd Ezra how the righteous blood crieth unto Yahweh Hashem day and night, man. Okay, so you go to where you got people that were put to death. Okay, obviously they're back now in a reincarnation. But you go to where when Jake gets put to, when they're out there in the spiritual world, man, they're complaining unto the Messiah how he should destroy this kingdom. Okay, they're going out there unto the Messiah saying, look, why is this thing of being allowed to persist? Okay, and when you go into the scriptures within the book of Job, what does it say? It says the Messiah set up his bounds that he cannot pass. So he's got a particular point in time, okay, that he can't supersede that. He can't go beyond a certain amount of time. Nobody knows that time, because what did the scripture say? The scripture says, no one knoweth the time but the Father. Okay? So no one knows the time when the Messiah is going to send his son to redeem his people, but we know it's very soon. And what's going to play out is the judgment that's written here. How that if any man, okay, leadeth into captivity, he was going to go into captivity. Okay? He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Who's got the blessing of the sword? Okay, the scripture talks about how that this man was given a great sword, okay, to take peace away from the earth. You got it to where you got so-called civil unrest erupting out there, where there was what was known as the so-called Arab Spring. Okay, you got civil unrest erupting out there between Israel, okay, and the Israelis, that is, okay, between the Israelis, okay, and the Arab nations like Iran and so on and so forth. So who was this man that was going to take peace upon the earth? Was there going to be a particular judgment that was going to come upon him? Of course there was going to be a particular judgment that was going to come upon this person, man. And this is what we're reading about here within the scriptures, okay? The book of Revelations, the 13th chapter, on the 9th verse, it says, if any man have an ear, let him hear, he that leadeth into captivity. So our people was led into captivity. But really, all the people that was led into captivity, okay? All the nations of the earth was put into some form of servitude. All the nations that are upon the face of the earth, whether you're talking about the Ishmaelites out there making hella money from that oil, they still got to pay a certain amount of money onto them elite bankers, man. Okay, because who runs the monetary system? Who runs the bank of settlements? All of this extra stuff. Who runs all of that? Okay, who's the one that's controlling when money is printed, how it's printed, what currency is going to be in? It ain't the Arabs out there. Okay, it ain't the Chinese out there now. You got it to where the Chinese now, they're so-called doing their thing, but they still got to go through some channels, man, the so-called proper channels. Okay, otherwise they're going to get themselves bumped. But I say all of that to say this, because if you go into where all of the people are paying onto what? Are paying that debt back onto these elite bankers, man. Okay, that makes them in slavery onto them. Okay, it means to say that they're the ones that are leading them into captivity. Okay, into slavery. Okay. He that leadeth into captivity, you shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword. You got this man, he's got all kind of different swords. Okay, he got it to where you got the ICBM nuclear missile, that's a sword. Okay, he's got it to where he's got this what's known as biological weapons. So when you're eating food, that food ain't nourishing you, but rather it's destroying you. That's where you got aspartame out there within the Coca-Cola, and they put that thing on avarice, man. When the Messiah gave you the juices of the earth, the berries, okay, the grapes. Here it is, they've defiled the grapes. They took the seed out of it and put GMOs within it. That's not food anymore. That's poison. Okay, and that's another form of a sword, because food's supposed to be nourishing, man. Okay, you're supposed to get particular ailments that you was going to heal with particular foods. Okay, you were supposed to be having, okay, you've got sleepless nights, you have this herb. Okay, your tummy's hurting, you have this hurt. And they've had it to where rather they ain't even pushing the herbs, they're having it to where they'll say there's a side effects to having this, that, and the third. But when you take their so-called medicine, they're the ones that be destroying you, man. So who's the one that kills with the sword? The same people that are out there controlling the pharmaceutical industry. The same people out there that are controlling what the people believe to be the truth when it comes to food. Okay? These are the same people that control money, the same people that control what happens on your TV, because they're the ones that lead on to destruction, man. Okay, which we know as the elite banking families, but really the whole family of them. Okay, because the scripture talks about how when Esau was born, okay, he was estranged from the truth, man. He was estranged to do wickedness. Let me get that within the book of Psalms, the 58th chapter. All right, so the book of Psalms 58. The book of Psalms 58 and 3 says, the wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray as soon as they're born. Okay, so what do they start pushing? They start pushing towards death. Remember, the scripture says the wages of sin is death. Okay, what's the main thing that's pushed within this society? Idolatry. Okay, adultery. Those are all things that are what? The punishment of that was death. When you go into the scriptures, when you go into the law that was given unto Moses, which was subsequently given unto the 12 tribes of Israel, the Most High said you wasn't going to worship the gods of the heathen. You wasn't going to worship the idols of these different nations, man. Okay, I am your power. You was going to worship me. But when you're born, what do these kids get taught within the schools? They get taught in fairy tales, man. Okay, you're supposed to believe in Santa. You're supposed to believe in Easter. But when you go into the scriptures, there ain't no Easter within the scriptures. You find out there was a thing called Passover. Okay, but you have a high holy week where Passover is observed within this society. You have a particular time when the people take a day out of their so-called day-to-day routine, okay, to observe the Passover. No, of course not, because this ain't a society that upholds the biblical laws, okay, and the biblical doctrines of the scriptures. This is rather a society that observes, okay, and maintains, okay, the religious sacrifices unto who? Unto Satan, man. Okay, when you go into the understanding of what's actually being observed out here, it all goes back onto Satanism, man. Okay, the rings around Saturn. That's why people be trading rings and wedding rings. That ain't going back onto the scriptures. The scripture talks about how marriage is consummated through sex. Okay, when you go out there and you're so-called having Easter eggs, that goes back onto the Babylonians, man. Okay, and they was heavy into Satan worship. Matter of fact, all of these so-called religious, okay, which holidays, that goes back onto what? Holy days. Okay, and when you see how these all line up within the pagan calendar, that's what this world observes. So that when the scripture says the wicked is estranged from the womb, okay, this is talking about the man that's in rulership right now. Doth not the scripture say within the book of Job, the 9th chapter, okay, and the 24th verse, okay, the earth is given in unto the hands of the wicked, okay, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof, if not wherein. Who is he? Who are the judges? Okay, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites, they're the real judges, okay? Because they were supposed to be the real judges that was going to administer the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High and teach that unto the people. That's why the Israelites was known as a nation of kings and priests. Okay, they was going to teach these particular doctrines. Okay, the dogma of the scriptures. They was going to administer unto the world, so they don't see the moon and start worshiping it, which is what these people worship. That's why you have that's why you have these so-called festivals where they're observing moon, you know, they worship the moon. Now, it's one thing to keep time and, you know, seasons according to the moon and the sun, but it's another thing completely to have a Sunday, which goes back onto the worship of the sun. Okay, that's why it's called Sunday. Okay, all of these so-called days and these months and the names of these months go back onto what? Venus. All of this, what does that go back onto? That goes back onto pagan doctrines, man. Fulfilling what the scripture says, saying that what? The wicked are exchanged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they're born, speaking lies. Because the worship of the sun is a lie. Okay, the sun's gonna be there tomorrow. Now it's a creation of the Most High's made. It's beautiful. Okay, but it ain't a thing, an item to be worshipped. Okay, it neither speaks. Okay, it neither sends out. You know, you pray out to the sun. The sun ain't gonna feed you. The Most High is gonna feed you, man. This is why the scripture says that what? The deceived and the deceiver are the deceived. Okay, and the deceiver are his, sign to that effect. Because to have it to where a man looks at the sun and worships the sun, okay, and certain things happen as a result of worshiping that particular deity, okay, the Most High has to put it within that man's spirit and particular things to happen to where it's believable. Because here it is, you can worship the sun and pray for the harvest, and the harvest don't come. Well, guess what? You ain't gonna be all up into that anymore, man. You're gonna try to find another doctrine. Okay, the same, and that's what's happening with these people. They're all up into Caesar Bozet, and the Most High has it where they kind of follow, and it kind of works out. It kind of looks like that they're prospering within those wicked philosophies. That's why them particular Jakes that was on the scene, okay, during the ancient times, it was like, look, since we strayed away from the gods of Egypt, things have become difficult for us. Okay, why? Because the Most High had set it up from the foundations of the earth, that when they was into them days, they was quote unquote doing all right, but really they was worshiping false idols. So he set it up to where what? They did something that was what? Punishable by death. So their children left the wilderness out there in the time of Moses, but they didn't leave the wilderness because what? Because the scripture says that what? The wages of sin is death, man. Okay? So going back onto the scripture now, it says here, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they're born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They're like the death adder. Because when you listen to this man speak, man, okay? When you listen to this man speak, who have you believe that the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans weren't in captivity for 400 years, man? He'll have you believe that the people on the earth right now are free. Okay, he'll have you believe that. But these are lies. Okay? That's why the scripture says that what? They're poison like the poison of the serpent. Okay? They come across as being at peace with people. They go out there, you have Trump going out there, okay, going into the Middle East and having conferences and meetings with particular individuals, okay, so-called particular leaders of the so-called Eastern world, okay, and don't actually look like they're at peace, it's like a peace talk. But really inwardly, that the scripture says inwardly, they was drawing swords, man. Meaning to say what? They're going to say particular things. They were going to do particular things that was going to lead on to war. That's why we believe Trump, okay, this dude Trump is probably going to be the last president of America, man. Why? Because he's going to lead this whole world into a thing of World War III, which is a beautiful thing. Because when you go into the scriptures and you read about World War III, you find out after World War III, there was going to be nothing but peace upon the earth because righteousness was going to be re-established within the earth. That's why the scripture talks about all the time a new song. I was going to give unto Jacob, unto Israel, okay, the real Israelites, the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I was going to give unto them a new song. They was going to be singing that new song, which was a renewed song, okay, which was what? The re-establishing of righteousness upon the face of the earth. This is what this whole thing about the gospel was all about, because in the re-establishing, okay, of righteousness upon the earth, you was gonna have particular good things happen. Okay, for instance, you wasn't gonna breathe in poisons anymore. The man of sin was gonna be removed. You wasn't gonna have to worry about your wife cheating on you because what? Because the laws pertaining to adultery was gonna be reinforced. Okay, you wasn't gonna have to worry about your kid growing up and he's all up into bugged outness, man, into madness. You wasn't gonna have to worry about that because why? Because righteousness was gonna be upheld, man. So peace in turn was gonna be upheld. Okay, this is why the scripture within the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, goes into the fact that perfect rest is gonna be established when the Most High return. Okay, it goes into how that we're gonna be at rest. Okay, because when you go rest. Okay, when you go rest within the earth, when you go to where you don't have to worry, man, you can do things, man. Right now, it's all about worry. This bill, that bill, okay? How you going to negotiate that particular situation, okay? But when the Most High establishes righteousness and you ain't going to worry about Esau's lies, okay, then you're going to be good, okay? Psalms the 83rd chapter on the 5th verse, it says, which will not hearken unto the voice of charming never so wisely, break their teeth. Okay, dealing with their military strength. Excuse me, it's raining a bit. I'm trying to keep the camera as dry as possible. I don't want no technical difficulties. Okay, so I'm gonna have to wipe that every now and then. But when you go to where okay, you go to where so the teeth. Okay, what's their teeth? That's talking about their military. Okay, when you go out there and you see how they conduct their military, man. You see, this is the mightiest military that's ever existed upon the face of the planet. They got 10 aircraft carriers. They got a nuclear arsenal. Nobody even knows how much they got within that nuclear arsenal, man. But they're doing, when it comes to military, America is on another level, man. That's why they talk about themselves as this great warlike country. Because when it comes to that war, man, they're blessed with the thing of war. Okay, they're on another level to these different countries. Okay? But guess who's gonna break their teeth? The Most High is gonna break the might of the great might of the American and British army. The Most High, the Lord, is gonna send His Son. He's gonna break all of that because you gotta remember, the Lord is the one that created these elements. Okay, the Lord's the ones that put it within their mind to come up with the thing of the gun, the combustion engine. And their mind just conjure that up out of his mind. The scripture talks about how there's no new thing underneath the sun, and how that basically the Most High exists outside of time. So a particular time, a man sat down and put together an engine. The Most High thought about that way before yonder, man. Okay? So all of those things are what? They're all things to prove that the Most High is on another level. Now let's read that within the scriptures. Now, and I know I'm holding a few scriptures, but I'll tie it all back in together. Okay, starting first within the book of Revelations, the 12th chapter. And this is the 12th verse. It says, "Rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. A woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devils come down having great wrath, because he knoweth he has a short time." So this is the times that we're living in now, okay? Or we're getting into the time of Jacob's trouble, the time when the Most High, okay, was going to allow this man really to start what's known as the ethnic cleansing, okay? Because you got it to where you got a lot of retarded Israelites out there, okay? The Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, you got a lot of retarded Israelites out there, okay? That are in a bugged out state of mind, and the Most High don't want to do anything with it. Okay, as in he's going to put them to death. Okay, now ultimately we know through the scriptures via a process called reincarnation, they're going to come back into the kingdom, but ultimately they're going to be put to death right now. Okay, that's what's known within the scriptures as the 2/3. So when you go into the scriptures, when you go into the Bible, okay, you find out that 2/3, okay, 2/3 of Israel, 2/3 of the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, 2/3 of our people, okay, we're going to be put to death by way of the nuclear fire, the nuclear weapons. Okay, during the times that we're living in right now, okay? During the time of Jacob's trouble, they wasn't going to make it. Some of them was going to know that they was Israelites, but they was lukewarm. Okay, some of them was going to be, really the scripture talks about how pretty much everybody's going to know, okay, who they are right now. Okay, we're in a time when everybody knows that they are what their heritage is, okay, to put it simply. So we're in that time now, okay, when the Most High is going to start doing the ethnic cleansing, okay? And during this time of the ethnic cleansing, okay, a lot of Jakes is going to be